Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 3.6 Notes, Day 1. Today we're talking about applications of linear equations. Our learning target today is to be able to write slope-intercept equations in order to solve real-world problems. All right, so today we're going to be working extensively with word problems and then going through and trying to apply slope-intercept equations to those. Okay, so first let's talk about some vocabulary. Slope. 4 different words that you could see for slope could include the word per, the word each, if you see the word of, or every. Excuse me. So if you see those words, know that it's talking about the slope. Okay, an ordered pair. Ordered pairs are any time that you see 2 numbers in the same sentence. So 2 numbers in the same sentence. Once you see that, you should know, like, oh, same sentence, we're talking about an ordered pair. All right, units for x. X on the x-axis normally talks about time. Okay, so time, that could be if they're talking about hours, if they're talking about minutes, you know, maybe they're talking about weeks, or months, or days. Okay, anything that's talking about time, you should know right away that that's our x. Okay, and then the units for y. Mostly today, I think we're talking about money. But the key thing is they're things, okay? And these things depend, they depend on what the x is, okay? So we got to pay real close attention. All right, I'm going to zoom in here. Hopefully you have a highlighter or some different colored pens to help you with this. So Zoe has a starting balance of $100 in her savings account. She saves $50 each month, which she makes by babysitting her neighbor's kids. Let X represent the number of months and Y represent the total balance in her bank account. So let's go through and circle or highlight some key things. She has a starting balance of $100. Okay, each month is $50. And then it's nice because they say X represents the number of months and Y represents the total balance in your bank account. All right, so at the top, I like to start by saying, well, X is this and Y is that. So X, they're saying that X is the total months. That's what we highlighted in pink. And Y, what's Y? Yeah, Y is the balance that's in our bank account. All right, so the first thing it says is to write a slope-intercept equation to the model the situation. Do you guys remember slope-intercept? Well, that's y equals mx plus b. So the 2 things that I need to know what my slope is, and I need to know what my y-intercept is. So slope. We're looking for the word per, each, of, or every. Okay, and I see the word each right here. So that's $50 each month. So you're telling me that that slope is 50. Remember that the B means to begin. So where does this begin? What's the starting balance? Yeah, the starting balance is 100 up here. Okay, so as a point, that would be 0, 100. All right, well, let's plug it all in. So y equals, our slope is 50x plus 100. All right, letter B. It says, what does the y-intercept of the equation represent in terms of the situation? Well, the y-intercept, what was the y-intercept again? It was 0 over 100. Well, what did that say? Well, we would say that the y-intercept, what's it represent? It represents Zoe's starting balance. And what was it? Yeah, it was $100. So her starting balance of $100. All right, C. How much money will she have in her account after 4 months, assuming that she doesn't spend any of it? So this is where it's very important at the very top to talk about months and balance, what our X was and what our Y was. We said that the X represented the months, and right here they said 4 months, so this is our X. So we would go through into our equation, and now we're going to plug in the number 4. Okay, so why don't you guys go ahead and solve that? Yeah, the first thing you would do is multiply. And then you would get your answer of 300. Okay. Now the next one, after how many months will she have $500 in her account? So what did they tell us? They're asking us about the months, but they have $500. This is her balance. And her balance was the Y. So now we're saying that Y equals 500. So we would set that up as Y equals 500, or 500 equals 50x plus 100. So now we have to solve. What would I do? Well, yeah, the first thing we would want to do is get rid of that 100, because we want to get the y by itself. 500 minus 100 gives us 400. And then the last thing would be to divide by 50. 400 divided by 50 is 8. So we get that 8 equals x. So our final answer is not 8, it's 8 what? It's 8 months. So after 8 months, Zoe would have $500 in her account. All right, number 2. Number 2, we're talking about Guadalupe. Why don't you guys go ahead and read through this? I'm going to pause the video, but I want you to read through it, so you should pause it, highlight any information, and then see if you can tell me what the x equals and what the y equals. Good luck. Okay, so after going through and reading that, I saw that x equals the weeks and y equals money. Okay, so part A, we have to write a slope-intercept equation. So I need to know what's my slope and what's my y-intercept. Well, there were two numbers. There's 245 and 35. The word 35 has the word per next to it. So I know that that's going to be my slope. Now, question for you. Read that sentence where it starts with assume. It says, assume she will, what's this word? Spend. So she's spending that amount. So are we adding that amount or are we subtracting it? Yeah, we're subtracting it. So our slope is going to be negative. It's going to be a negative 35. All right. And then our y-intercept is going to be the 245 because that's what she started with. That's what she received. Okay, so if we're plugging that in, we get y equals negative 35x plus 245. All right, so what does the y-intercept of the equation represent in terms of this situation? Well, let's see. The y-intercept was 0 over 245. That's what we were just talking about. But what did that 245 mean? If you forgot, go back up. It's the first sentence. Okay, so the y-intercept represents how much money Guadalupe received on her birthday. And that was $245. Okay, so it doesn't have to be exactly what I said, but it's got to be something pretty close. All right, C. How much money will she have in her account after 4 weeks? So once again, they're telling us the weeks, and that was our, yeah, that was our X. All right, so for here, if that's our X, excuse me, we know that 4 weeks have passed, so that's what you're plugging in for X. Okay, X equals 4. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and tell me what the answer is. Okay, you should have gotten that y equals negative 140 plus 245, and when you combine those, you should get that $105 is your answer. So after 4 weeks, she has $105 left in that account, or money left over from her birthday. Okay, next one, after how many weeks will she have $140 in her account? So I don't know the weeks, but we do know how much money she has. So we know the y, we just don't know the x. So y equals 140. We would set up our equation, 140 equals negative 35x plus 245. And you guys are all on your own. So go ahead and pause the video and good luck. Okay, now you have to be very careful with your negatives here, and you should have gotten that 3 equals x, which means, yeah, that means 3 weeks. Okay, let's flip it over. All right, so for number 4, we're going to start and do the same thing. You guys are going to read this, and now I want to see if you can get A done too. Okay, so tell me what x is, tell me what y is. Remember that we need the slope and the y-intercept, and then tell me what the equation is. We're putting that into y equals mx plus b. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, how many of you guys started this and you're like, Mr. Grice, what are you talking about? They don't mention a y-intercept here. Okay, now, you should have gotten that x is your miles and y is your cost because it said that to us. You should have been able to figure out what the slope was, but let's look at the blue. It says Erica drove 350 miles and was charged a total of $87. Now, if I flip back to the other side, I have two numbers in the same sentence. So what that's telling me is I have an ordered pair. Okay, so my ordered pair was what? 350 miles, so that's our X, and the money was 87. So if we don't know what our y-intercept is, we have three numbers, well, that means point slope. Okay, I know that my slope is 0.12. Okay, and I know that because right afterward is the word per. And now I'm going to plug the x where the x goes, so that's minus 350. And then in the y, we're going to put the 87. And now we're just solving point slope, which you guys can do. You've done a great job with this. We distribute, we get y minus 87 equals 0.12x minus, what's 0.12 times 350? Did you get it yet? Come on, you can do it. Yeah, it's negative 42. Okay? And now our y isn't by itself, so we have to add the 87 to both sides. And then we get that x equal, or the y-intercept at the very back, the b, is 45. Okay, so after we've solved that, we can now say that, oh, b is 0.45. And this is where it gets a little tricky right here, because on the next part it says, well, what does the y-intercept represent? Well, we're talking about a rental car company charging a flat fee to drive a car plus 12 cents per mile. So here's our plus 12 cents per mile. That means that 45 right there, what that is, that's our flat fee. Okay, so our our y-intercept, our 0.45. Okay, the y-intercept represents the flat fee for renting a car. And here it would be $45. Okay, so for C and D, I'm going to have you guys do C and D on your own. Just notice that C is asking for miles, and we said that miles is X, so we know that X equals 500. And for D, it says that she's been charged a total of $96, and we said that that was our cost, so we know that Y equals 96. I want to see if you can set those up and solve them on your own. Go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, so for number C, you should have gotten that Y is $105. And then for D, 425, and that means that she drove 425 miles on that rental car to be charged 96. All right, number 5. Says John has a contract with a cell phone company that gives him a limited number of texts. If he exceeds the text limit, he has to pay 10 cents for each additional text. Last month, John had 220 extra texts and had to pay a total of $70 on his bill. So let's see if you can figure out A all on your own. Go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, so the tricky thing about this one is they don't tell you what X and Y equal. You have to figure that out on your own. So we talked that y is money, okay? So that's going to be our bill, the total cost, and then that leaves x being the extra texts, okay? So in yellow, they told us what the slope was, but in blue, we have two numbers in the same sentence, so that's telling me that that's a point. So my x, the extra text, is 220, and then the y would be 70. Okay, so since they didn't tell us what the y-intercept is, we need to go through and we have to put this in point slope to figure out the slope-intercept. Okay, so we got 0.10x, 70, and 220. Okay, so you guys are all on your own. Good luck. Okay, and when you solve it, you should get that y equals 0.10x plus 48, which means that our y-intercept is 0.48. So what does the y-intercept represent in terms of the equation, in terms of this situation? Well, the y-intercept, what would that represent? So they're talking about cell phones, they talk about extra tickets, and y is your total bill. So what the y-intercept represents is that 0.48, that $48, it represents the cost of your cell phone bill. If you stay within the text limit. So this was John. So if John stays within the text limit. Because once he starts going over, that's when he gets charged. He doesn't have one of those cool unlimited text plans. Okay? Now, C and D, I'm not going to give you guys any help. You need to figure those out on yourself, so go ahead and pause the video, and when you start it back up, the answers will be here. Good luck. Okay, so we get that y equals, for C, y equals $68, and for D, that John sent 320 extra texts. Okay, well guys, that's it for Algebra, Unit 3.6 Notes, Day 1. If you have any questions or need extra help, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. We would love to help you out. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice, signing off. Thanks for watching.